She had devoured 999 souls, each one stolen with a kiss, a breath against skin, a moan twisted into a curse. One more, and she would rise, free, unstoppable, untouchable. But then came him, the angel, Serenial. He smelled like moonlight, looked like sin wrapped in silk. And when she touched him, she burned. Literally. His soul wasn't whole. It carried something she thought was long dead, a piece of a mortal she had once destroyed. Now, every time she reached for him, pain ripped through her chest, and she craved it. He was supposed to be her prey, but his calm, unshaken gaze, it made her want to ruin him. She didn't need his soul for power anymore. She needed him to need her, to break for her, to beg. But the way he watched her? Maybe he already was, because when her hands hovered, trembling near his chest, he leaned in. Some touches damn, some save. But this one might end the heavens. If you're still with me, hit subscribe, and tell me in the comments what story you want next. I'll be watching. She had devoured 999 souls, each one taken with a whisper, a kiss, a touch that turned lust into damnation. Some had begged, others had screamed, all of them surrendered. Now only one remained, the 1,000th soul, the key to her ascension. Freedom, dominion, power over the 7 circles. Zephyria smiled. Victory was just a heartbeat away. But what she found wasn't a mortal. It was an angel. He stood in the center of a ruined chapel, light dripping from his skin like liquid glass, eyes like open sky, posture calm, untouched. His presence didn't tremble. It silenced everything. She approached him like she approached them all, slow, sultry, irresistible. She touched his jaw, and burned. A pain unlike anything she'd known surged through her chest, splitting her own soul open from the inside out. She stumbled back, eyes wide. What the hell was that? He didn't flinch, didn't raise a weapon. He simply watched her with a serenity that infuriated her. "You can't touch me," he said, voice like sunlight through fog. Zephyria's lips curled. "Oh, darling, I can touch anything." She lunged again. This time her fingertips hovered just above his skin. The agony returned before contact was even made. The barrier wasn't physical. It was something older, deeper, something broken inside her. Her heart pounded. That never happened. Never. She could tear souls from priests and princes alike. "Why not this one?" she hissed, pacing around him like a predator denied. "You're not whole," she said low. "And whatever's inside you, it remembers me." He tilted his head. "I came to cleanse the balance, not to be studied by a demon." Her eyes narrowed. "I've kissed the breath from kings, angel. I don't study, I consume." She circled closer, pressing her power into the space between them. But the closer she came, the more unstable she felt. His gaze didn't soften. It shattered her pride like glass. He didn't worship, he didn't beg, he simply existed. And it was enough to unmake her. She knew then. The soul she had destroyed centuries ago. A fragment of it lived inside him, reborn, protected, pure. It rejected her not because he was strong, but because she had already ruined it once. Her breath caught. "I don't break. I break others." But Zephyria did. For the first time, not out of weakness, but out of memory. He turned his back to her, stepping toward the altar. Light pooled at his feet. "Leave," he said. "There's no soul for you here." But she only smiled. "Is that what you think?" She vanished in a shimmer of smoke. Not defeated, just intrigued. Obsession always began with denial. And she would have him, even if it tore her to pieces. But long after she left, she stood atop a rooftop watching the chapel below, eyes narrowed and pulse slow. She hadn't fled. She had regrouped. Zephyria didn't retreat. She studied. She planned. She learned the shape of his patrols, the way he walked through the mortal world with reverence, as if everything was worth saving, as if even she could be. The thought made her laugh out loud, sharp, bitter, beautiful. She didn't need his forgiveness. She needed his surrender. And if she couldn't have it through seduction, she'd have it through pressure. The next night, she let another demon slip through her territory, not because she was lazy, because she knew he'd come to stop it. He did. He always would. And when their paths crossed again, she'd be waiting. Not with fire, but with a question. Why does your light remember my touch? She followed him for days after. Never too close, never too far. Enough to listen to the way his breath caught when the wind whispered her name. He didn't say it out loud. Not yet. But he remembered. She saw it in the tension of his shoulders, in the way he paused before entering sacred places, like he could feel her just outside the light. One night, she let her presence slip through a dream. Not fully, just a kiss on his throat. A trace of warmth that wasn't holy. He woke with a gasp. She smiled into the darkness. This wasn't mercy. This was method. And when he finally said her name, truly said it, she would be there to claim everything that came with it. Serenial walked among mortals like he didn't belong, yet refused to rise above them. Zephyria watched him from rooftops, from alley shadows, from smoke swirling beneath flickering street lamps. He never looked up. He felt her, though. She saw it in the way his fingers curled tighter around the silver threads of his robes. In the pause he took before blessing children, she was becoming part of his rhythm. And it delighted her. He had gone to a sanctuary that night, one of the few still pulsing with ancient light. It clung to the stones like perfume, thick with forgotten prayers. She stepped inside anyway. Her presence dimmed the candles. The marble cracked softly beneath her heels. He stood at the altar with his back to her, as if daring her to break something holy. She didn't. Not yet. I thought you said there was no soul for me here, she purred. He turned slowly. His expression didn't change, but his breath did. She caught it. I warned you, he said. This place is not yours. I go where I please. She stepped forward. You should know that by now. He didn't retreat, but his wings flickered, not from fear, but resistance. She smiled. I saw you dream of me last night. That wasn't a dream. It was a warning. Zephyria tilted her head. A warning. With my lips on. Your throat? He said nothing, so she stepped even closer. The space between them was hot. Electric. Not with anger. Not yet. I'm not here to fight, she said. But you keep trying to resist me. Why? Because you want something you can't have. His voice remained level, but his eyes, they were beginning to betray him. She leaned in, inches from his mouth. I always get what I want. He closed his eyes. Not this time. Zephyria exhaled softly, her breath grazing his cheek. He didn't move. I could burn this entire temple down, she whispered, just to hear you say my name. I know your name. Then say it. He opened his eyes. They shimmered, with fury, with conflict, with something dangerously close to longing. I don't speak to temptresses, she laughed, low, dark, melodic. Oh, angel, you already do. And then she disappeared, smoke trailing like silk. She wouldn't press more, not tonight. But his heartbeat had stuttered. She had felt it. The next evening, she visited a grieving widow, not to take, just to sit, to listen, to feel what Serenial must feel when he walked among pain and chose compassion. It was strange, Unpleasant, but not uninteresting. When she left, she found a white feather on the windowsill. Not hers, his. She crushed it between her fingers. On the fourth night, she left him a soul, fresh, clean, untouched. A merchant who'd prayed for forgiveness right before death. She didn't take it. She waited for Sereniel to find it. And he did. She saw. The way he hesitated before lifting the soul to the light, as if wondering why it hadn't been corrupted, as if suspecting her. Good. She was inside his head now. By the seventh night, he came to her. She stood in the ruins of an old cathedral, bathed in blue moonlight, arms bare, power humming through her bones. "You've been following me," he said. She turned slowly. "Only because you fascinate me. I am not here for your fascination. No, you're here for something else." He remained still. She took a step closer. "Do you know what I felt when I touched you the first time?" He didn't answer. She stepped closer again. Pain. Real pain. The kind I didn't think I was capable of anymore. Sereniel's voice was low. "That should have warned you." "It did," she said. "But I came back anyway." "Why?" She looked up into his face. "You make me feel real. That's a dangerous gift to give a demon." He exhaled slowly. "You're playing a game you can't win." "I'm not here to win," she said. "I'm here to make you lose." This time, when she reached for him, her fingers didn't burn. Not right away. She pressed them gently to his chest. His breath caught, and then the pain surged through her. Hot, blinding, raw. She hissed, pulling back, but only an inch. He grabbed her wrist, held it, not to stop her, to ground her. "You don't have to do this," he said. She smiled through the pain. "I already did." Later, long after he'd gone, she stood alone again. The pain still lingered in her fingers. But so did the echo of his touch, and that was worse, because she wasn't supposed to want it. Not this, not him. Zephyria had devoured 999 souls without hesitation. Now, she hesitated, not because she couldn't take his, but because she wanted him to give it, willingly. And that, she realized, was the real curse. Not the light, not the soul, but the fact that she was no longer hunting. She was waiting. And demons don't wait, they burn. He wasn't supposed to come back. Not after what she'd done. Not after the way his breath had hitched when her claws skimmed the memory of that half-soul trapped in his chest. Not after the way Zephyria had vanished into the smoke like a coward. And yet there he was. Again. Serenial. The angel. Standing in the same alley where they had last crossed paths. But this time, his light didn't flare in warning. It shimmered like a question. "You followed me," she said, voice low, bored. A lie. She was anything but bored. "I was told to observe the energy. Disruption in this quadrant," he answered. "Seems the source is magnetic." Zephyria rolled her eyes. "You're here because you want to be." "I don't want to be," he lied. She stepped forward. "Then leave." His jaw clenched. He didn't move. "Didn't think so." She smiled like a blade. "What's wrong, Angel? Scared of me now?" "I'm not afraid of you," he said. "Then why won't you touch me?" He said nothing. That silence sang to her. "I figured it out, you know," she whispered, circling him. "The soul you carry. It's not just any soul. It's hers. The girl I burned to ash centuries ago. The one who screamed my name as the fire took her." Sereniel's eyes narrowed. "I don't remember her." "Of course you don't. She's not all there. You only have, what, a sliver? But it's enough to make you untouchable to me." She stopped behind him, voice close to his ear. "And it's driving me insane. You should let this go." "I can't. You've killed 999 souls. Why not just take another? Zephyria laughed, soft and bitter. Because they don't matter. She does. And now so do you. He turned slowly. Why? Because I can't have you. The honesty of it made her sick. But it also thrilled her. He looked at her like he was seeing something else. Not a demon, not a monster. Just a woman with too much hunger and no cure. I could help you, he said. She blinked, then barked a laugh. Help me? Oh, precious. You are the wound. His expression didn't change. Still, let me try. She hated that part of her, wanted him to. Touch me, she said. Right now. Let's see if you survive. He stepped forward. Her body stiffened, ready for pain, ready for flame. But he didn't reach for her. He lifted his hand and touched the air between them. A light shimmered, gold and violet. The air cracked. It didn't hurt, but it didn't heal either. See, he said softly. There's something here. Her heart pounded. Not from fear, from the terrifying thought that maybe, just maybe, she wasn't broken. Yet. Don't try to fix me, she said, pulling back. I like the way I am. Liar, she snarled. But it didn't land. He was too calm, too serene, like his name, like he was made of still water and she was drowning. I will take your soul eventually, she hissed. I believe you. And when I do, I'll feel nothing. I don't believe that. They stared at each other, fire and light, both burning, but not yet consumed. Then she vanished. Again. But not before he saw it. The flicker, the tremor, the crack in the benign darkness. A wound she couldn't hide anymore. And he wasn't sure if he wanted to heal it or fall into it. What Zephyria didn't expect, what she could never have predicted, was the way his silence could disarm her more than any blade. When she moved, the air around her shimmered with heat and sin, her presence tearing through the invisible layers of this realm like a wound that refused to close. And yet he just stood there, still, calm, unbroken. It enraged her. Do you even feel it? She demanded, stepping closer again. Do you even understand what's happening between us? I understand more than you think, Serenial replied, eyes unblinking. But I won't fall into your fire. Zephyria laughed bitterly. Fall? Darling, you've been burning since the moment you looked at me. You just won't admit it. She circled him slowly, predatory, her finger dragging through the air just inches from his skin. She wouldn't touch him, not yet. The memory of that searing pain still burned into her nerve. Endings. But the tension, the pull, it was maddening. Every time she tried to extract that fractured soul fragment from him, something inside her cracked further. It wasn't just resistance, it was like trying to break glass from the inside out, like shattering part of herself in the process. And the worst part? She couldn't stop coming back. I used to think I needed power, she whispered near his ear, her voice low and venomous. But maybe all I needed was a challenge. Serenial didn't flinch. Instead, he turned his head ever so slightly, just enough that his breath met hers between heartbeats. And I used to think demons were incapable of doubt, he murmured. She hated that, hated how easily he could make her unravel. I don't doubt. Then why are you trembling? Her jaw clenched. I'm not. He looked down. Her hand, fist, now, was shaking. You're losing yourself. She stepped back, the shadows curling violently at her feet like leashed wolves snapping for release. I am finding what they tried to rip out of me, she growled. I was forged in fire. I was promised dominion. You think some celestial fragment is enough to stop me? I think it already has. The words hit harder than they should have, because deep down, she knew he wasn't entirely wrong. Every soul she'd consumed, every desperate kiss, every whispered plea had faded into noise. None of it had ever touched her. Until him. Serenial. She said his name like a warning. But he only met her gaze and said, Zephyria. The way he spoke, it was a sin. Like prayer and blasphemy in one breath. She hated how much she needed to hear it again. You're breaking rules you don't even understand, she said, voice low. This world, my world, it's not made for creatures like you. We don't crave purity. We crush it. Then why haven't you crushed me? Because I can't, she screamed. The silence after was louder than thunder. The space between them trembled. Zephyria stood there, exposed in a way she hadn't been for centuries, raw, bleeding with something she didn't have a name for, and he simply stepped closer. Not bold, not daring, just certain, like gravity had chosen him to defy her chaos. Let me see, he whispered, what they made of you, what you became to survive. Her lips parted, but no sound came. Because somewhere between his words and her unraveling, she felt it. A pulse. Not just of power, but of something older, deeper. Something like memory. Something like regret. And it was coming from him. She reached out, not to steal, not to destroy, but to understand. Her fingers hovered above his chest, barely a breath away. No pain this time. Only heat. He didn't move. He let her. And just before her skin touched his, he whispered, I dreamed of you. Before I ever fell. The contact snapped. Not her hand, her mind. Images crashed into her. Another time. Another life. A mortal woman with laughter in her bones and sorrow behind her eyes. Her own hand around the woman's throat. The light leaving her. And him, serenial, watching from a place beyond time, helpless. She stumbled back. No, it couldn't be. You remember, he said softly. I destroyed her. And yet, a piece of her still lingers. He stepped closer again, gently. She loved someone, deeply, even as she died. That love didn't vanish. It twisted, Zephyria snapped. It became me. No, Serenial said. It became what saved me. Her breath hitched. Because in that moment she saw it. Not salvation, not damnation, but choice. She could take his soul. She could complete her collection. She could be free. Or she could burn with him. And never stop feeling again. His hand reached out this time. It hovered near her jaw. She didn't pull away. I can't fall, he whispered. And I can't stop, she answered. Their foreheads met. A breath. A heartbeat. We're both doomed, she said. Then let's choose the fire. The air cracked. The bond between them, ancient and forbidden, awakened. And the last soul was no longer hers to take. It was hers to protect. The rain hadn't stopped for days. The city groaned under the weight of a storm that never broke. Lightning flashed in the sky like heaven itself was keeping score. Zephyria didn't care. Her boots splashed through the flooded alley, shadows curling behind her with every step. She had just burned through a nest of soul smugglers. They'd tried to sell her a counterfeit. The fool actually thought a cursed priest's soul would be enough for her final prize. Zephyria made sure his screams joined the wind, but none of it mattered. Not the power, not the blood, not the 100 souls begging inside her like caged thunder. Only one face haunted her now. Serenial, the untouchable, the last, and the only one who ever made her feel like she wasn't made of fire and venom. She still felt the burn where he had touched her, not with hands, but with that damn look. That soft, maddening look, like he saw her. No, like he remembered her. And the worst part? A part of her wanted to be seen. She slammed her hand against a wall, cracking the brick. This was weakness. She didn't do weakness. Serenial stood beneath the ruined arch of a forgotten church, light cascading over his silver robes. The rain refused to touch him. Even now, nature obeyed his presence. He watched the empty street, sensing her. Not just her power, her ache. She was close, too close, and yet not close enough. He pressed his hand to his chest. It still hurt. Not from her magic, not from any curse, but from something older. Something he shouldn't be feeling. Longing. Why did she feel familiar? The eyes, the fury, the loneliness wrapped in thorns, as if she once wore a different face, as if he once swore to protect her. But that was impossible, wasn't it? They met again in the middle of a cathedral-turned-battlefield. Shattered glass crunched beneath Zephyria's heel. She stepped through moonlight like it belonged to her. "You're following me now?" she asked, voice dripping with dark sugar. "I came to stop you," Serenial replied, but his voice lacked conviction. Her eyes narrowed. She circled him. "Then stop me," she whispered. But he didn't move. He just looked at her, too gently, too human. Zephyria grabbed his collar. That damn white fabric, pure, unsullied, like him. She pulled him close. But again her fingers flinched. A sharp sting bloomed in her palm. She hissed. "I hate this," she spat. "Hate what?" he asked. "That I can't break you." His breath hitched. Zephyria's eyes glowed like violets on fire. "But I will," she promised. "I will taste your ruin." She tried everything, illusions, lies, pleasure disguised as torment. But Serenial held firm. He didn't strike, didn't run. He waited. Every time she got close, his silence shook her more than any scream could. And then, one night, she kissed him. Not to take his soul, not to end him, but to feel if he was real, to feel if she still was. Her lips burned. Not from pain, from truth. His soul didn't flee. It shivered, like it recognized her. And for a second, he kissed her back. A sin echoed in light. He pulled away first, eyes wide, chest heaving, like the heavens had cracked open behind his ribs. "What are you doing to me?" he whispered. She should have laughed, should have mocked, but her hands were trembling. "I don't know," she admitted. It was the first honest thing she said in centuries. Later, in the quiet between worlds, Serenial sat in the ruins of the cathedral. She didn't show, but her scent lingered. Ash and violets. He closed his eyes. Memories drifted, not his. Hers. Blood. A promise. A death. A voice crying out a name he couldn't remember. It echoed in his bones. And when he opened his eyes, Zephyria stood there. No fire, no cruelty, just eyes full of something he didn't have a word for. "Why did you come?" he asked. "I don't know anymore," she said. Then she knelt, kneeling to an angel. Her hands bled where the thorns of her past still dug deep. "I don't want the last soul anymore," she whispered. He reached forward, touched her cheek. This time, no pain. Only warmth. Maybe something had shifted. Maybe the curse had begun to crack. But redemption has a price, and the underworld was watching. She didn't need to hunt him anymore. He came to her. At first, she thought it was a trap, some divine ploy to corner her where the light would pierce deepest. But no. He came alone. No sword. No warnings. Just the weight of those celestial eyes, too calm for the storm they stirred. Zephyria waited in the ruins where they first clashed, the place where his blood had once touched the earth and refused to burn. She stood tall, arms crossed, shadows draping her body like a second skin. He landed soundlessly, his wings folding behind him with the grace of a final breath. "Did the heavens send you to beg?" she asked, voice velvet and venom. No, Serenial answered. They don't know I'm here. She tilted her head, amused. Then you're a traitor now? I'm something else now. Zephyria circled him, slow, predatory. He didn't move, didn't flinch. Not when her fingers brushed the air beside his throat, not when her breath whispered near his ear. You're playing with fire, Angel. And you're not burning me. She stopped. It was true. For the first time, her presence didn't hurt him, and touching him didn't tear her apart. She narrowed her eyes. Why? I don't know, he said, honest and dangerous. But I want to understand. She stepped closer. So, do I? Their lips almost met, but not yet. She felt his breath, warm and steady, not holy, not divine, just him. Human, almost. Her hand touched his chest. This time, there was no pain, only heat, a warmth that spread into her fingers, up her arm, like an answer to a question neither of them had dared to ask. You're not afraid? She murmured. I'm something else now, he repeated. He touched her face, gently, reverently. She let him. She hated that she let him. His fingers traced the line of her jaw, then paused over the place where her mark of dominion burned with ancient power. I don't want to save you, he said. She smirked. Good. I'm not broken. I know, he leaned in, but maybe I want to belong to you. The words struck her harder than any blade. Demons don't flinch. She did. You don't know what you're offering, she said, backing away. Then show me. He followed her into the dark, into her world, and she let him. They moved through shadowed corridors of forgotten temples, her domain. Every step he took was a defiance of the laws he once obeyed. She watched him, watched the way his presence bent the rules around them, the way the air shimmered with the mix of his light and her darkness. He wasn't falling. He was changing. And she? She was trembling inside. Not from weakness, but from something worse. Hope. You said you wanted to belong, she said, voice low as the abyss. I meant it. Then kneel. He did. No hesitation. On one knee, before her throne. Of ash and obsidian, his eyes never left hers. She stepped forward, lifting his chin with 2 fingers. And if I told you I'd make you mine, body, soul, and every secret inside you, I'd ask you to do it slowly. Her control snapped for a breath. Desire roared through her, not hunger for a soul, but something far crueler, yearning. Her lips met his in a kiss that wasn't meant to steal. It was a claim, a promise, a surrender, but not of power, of purpose. His hands gripped her waist, pulling her closer as if she were gravity itself. And maybe she was. Because when he touched her, really touched her, her magic didn't fight back. It welcomed him. Their powers danced between their skin, clashing, merging, flames and starlight, condemnation and grace. She gasped against his mouth. He smiled against her lips. You taste like sin, he whispered. You taste like home, she replied, before realizing what she'd said. She pulled back, stumbled. That word, home. She hadn't spoken it in centuries. And yet. Serenial stood, reaching for her hand. She didn't stop him, his fingers laced with hers, and for the first time in 1,000 souls, she didn't feel hunger. She felt whole. Zephyria, he said softly. Her name in his voice was a prayer, not of mercy, but of meaning. I don't know what this is, he continued, but if we're both wrong, I'd rather be wrong with you. She swallowed the fire rising in her throat. You don't belong here, she said quietly, but I'm still here. And if they find you, they won't. And if they do, then I'll burn for you. Her chest ached, that damn pain again, but not from magic, from him, from this. She had only one soul left to take. His. And now? Now she wasn't sure if she could. Not because she didn't want the power, but because she wanted him more. She turned from him, hiding the storm in her eyes. Behind her, he spoke one last thing. If I'm the last, then let me be your first. She froze. He continued. The first one you choose to keep instead of consume. The silence after was unbearable. She didn't answer, but she didn't walk away. Not yet. And he understood. Because sometimes, not leaving is louder than any yes. The night stretched endlessly above the ruins, but Zephyria hadn't moved. She stood with her back to Sereniel, the silence between them louder than any scream she'd ever pulled from a soul. His words still echoed in her bones. Let me be the first you choose to keep. She hated that it sounded like a promise she wanted to make. She was the collector of souls, the queen of damnation. She wasn't meant to want anything but power. And yet, her hands trembled. I should kill you, she muttered. You've said that before. This time I mean it. I know. Still, he stepped closer. She felt his presence like heat behind her. Not burning, not scalding, warming, grounding. Her darkness should have swallowed him whole. Instead, it wrapped around him like a second skin, making space where there should be suffocation. What are you doing to me? She asked. I could ask you the same. She turned then, fast, grabbing him by the collar, dragging him close. But when she looked into his eyes, she found no fear, only ache, only truth. I don't want to feel, she whispered. Then stop. I can't. Neither can I. His hands moved to her waist again, slower this time, like asking for permission he'd never needed before. She let him, and with that, they were too close again, a breath apart, a curse shared. You're ruining me, she growled. No, he said, brushing his lips against hers. I'm showing you that you still exist. She kissed him again, desperate and deep, searching for the fire she always controlled, but finding only the one he ignited. This wasn't hunger. This was surrender. To him, to herself. And that terrified her more than any punishment the underworld could inflict. When she pulled away, breathless, her voice cracked. I need to finish this. Then do it, he said. Take it. His chest was bare before her. One touch, one whisper. She could end it all. Be free. But her hands didn't move. You don't get it, she said. If I take your soul, I win. But if I don't, you lose? No. I fall. His gaze softened. Then let's fall together. Zephyria laughed. A broken, hollow thing. You don't know what you're asking for. Maybe not. But you're still here. I am. And then, quieter. I'm not leaving. Something inside her cracked. Not like glass, but like stone softened by water over time. Erosion. He was eroding her. And she let him. She turned away again, needing space, needing silence. But the whispers returned. The ones she thought she'd buried centuries ago. The voices of the damned, her masters. You are ours. You do not love. You devour. You destroy. Shut up, she hissed. Serenial frowned. What? Nothing. But he knew. He saw the way her shadow pulsed, the way her aura shimmered with something wild, something afraid. Zephyria. She shook her head. They're watching. Let them. They'll come for you. Then let them come. You're not strong enough. Maybe not, but I have something they don't. She arched a brow. What? You. For once she didn't know what to say. No clever retort, no deadly flirtation, just silence. He walked to her again, slow, certain. His hand reached for hers. This time she didn't flinch. Their fingers intertwined. Not magic, Not command, just contact, raw and real. "I've spent my life serving light," he said, "but it never made me feel alive." "And I've spent mine stealing life," she replied, "but I never felt it myself." Their eyes met, and in that moment, they weren't angel and demon, just two broken truths. "You think we could ever have something real?" she asked. "I think we already do." He brought her hand to his chest, over his heart. It beat faster beneath her touch. She could take it, right now. Claim her prize. End this torment. But her hand stayed, and instead of taking, she let go. She stepped back, trembling. He didn't chase her this time. She needed the choice to be hers, and she knew it. "I need time," she said. "You have it." She turned and walked into the shadows, not to run, not to hide, to think, to feel, to choose. Behind her, Serenial stood alone in the ruins, waiting, not as prey, not as offering, as possibility. And somewhere deep inside her, something dangerous stirred. Hope, again. The kind that didn't come from power or promises. The kind that came from a name said gently in the dark. Zephyria. And for the first time in centuries, she let herself smile. Just a little. But it was real. The storm didn't begin with thunder. It began with a whisper. "I saw you." The voice, his voice, drifted into Zephyria's ear like a song she wasn't supposed to remember. Sereniel stood across the crumbling ruins, his white robes torn, streaked with ash. The light around him flickered, not because he was fading, but because something inside him was breaking. "You saw what?" she replied, tilting her head, lips curved in that venomous smile she wore like war paint. "I saw her." Zephyria didn't move, didn't blink, didn't breathe. He stepped forward. Not her face, not her name, just the way I felt when I touched you. His voice was quiet, devastating. "Liar," she hissed. "I'm not." She appeared before him in a blink, one clawed hand pressed to his chest. His heart beat steady beneath her fingers, even as her magic coiled like smoke. "I devour angels for breakfast," she murmured. "You're not special. You stopped at me." That struck deeper than any blade, because he was right. Zephyria had tasted 999 souls. All of them begged. All of them burned. She never hesitated. But him? Every time her lips neared his, the pain was unbearable. The soul fragment he carried wasn't just cursed, it was familiar. Too familiar. "You don't know what you're talking about." "I know how I feel." Zephyria laughed, but there was no humor in it. Only panic. Only flame. "You want to be broken, Angel?" His answer was silence, but the way he looked at her, it wasn't innocence, it wasn't purity, it was hunger, and not the kind she was used to controlling. It was the kind that could burn everything down. The moonlight sliced through the shattered cathedral windows like blades. Dust hovered in golden beams, undisturbed, waiting for the next disaster. Zephyria turned from him. She didn't like how quiet the world became when he was near, how her power thinned, how her breath caught. "You don't even know who you are," she spat. "Neither do you," Serenial said gently. Wrong. She knew exactly who she was. A demon forged in lust and wrath, a collector of souls, a cursed queen in waiting. "I am power," she said. "I am your end." But his eyes didn't leave her. "You're afraid." Her nails dug into her palm. "I fear nothing." "You fear this." He stepped closer, closer, until she could smell it again. That scent of light and winter and heaven she'd never tasted but always imagined. "I should kill you," she whispered. "You've had 1,000 chances." He was right again. And that infuriated her. She spun and slammed him against the stone wall, eyes blazing violet, voice a snarl. Then maybe I'm just waiting for the perfect moment. His voice was calm. So am I. Her lips hovered inches from his. He didn't flinch. She wanted to make him scream, make him beg, make him hers. But something inside her, something she thought had died long ago, ached. I don't want to feel this, she whispered. Then stop. I can't. His hand lifted, brushing her jaw. She didn't move. Then maybe it's real. Zephyria didn't remember falling asleep. Demons didn't sleep. But when she woke, his coat was over her shoulders, and Sereniel sat across the fire, watching the stars like they held answers. You're still here? She asked groggily. I don't leave people behind. I'm not people. I know. She pulled his coat tighter. It smelled like him. Clean. Cold. Alive. You'll regret this, she said. I already do. Their eyes met, and that moment, silent, raw, felt like a scar sealing over a wound neither had words for. The temple stood at the edge of the seventh circle. One more soul, one more step to her throne. But Zephyria didn't move. Serenial stood behind her. No weapons, no threats, just him. You came all this way to stop me, she said. No, he answered. I came to see if you'd stop yourself. The wind screamed around them. The ground trembled. I'm not weak, she said. I never said you were. She turned to him, eyes burning. If I walk away, I lose everything. He stepped closer. But maybe you gain something else. Her voice cracked. There is nothing else. There's you. She looked at him, eyes filled with all the wars she had fought, against others, against herself. And for the first time, she let go. The soul vanished, not taken, not devoured, just released. The chains binding her magic shattered. The power she'd fought so hard to earn crumbled. And still, she breathed. She stood. And Serenial, stunned, watched the demon queen fall to her knees. Free. I don't get it, she whispered. Her voice was small, almost human. I gave up everything. He knelt beside her. No, he said. You just took it back. She laughed, a broken sound. I'm still a monster. You're not. I am. His hand found hers, and this time, finally, there was no pain, only warmth, only peace. In the shadows, the masters of the underworld stirred. Her betrayal would not go unanswered. But Zephyria no longer cared, because for the first time in eternity, she wanted to live, not rule, not destroy, just live. And maybe, if he stayed, even love. I'm still not yours, she warned. Serenial smiled. You never were. She turned to go, but then stopped, looked back, and whispered the one truth she'd never said aloud. But I want to be. And that was when the sky broke open, and light poured where darkness used to reign. She didn't ascend. She didn't fall. She stayed. In the ruin between heaven and hell, where light couldn't save her and darkness no longer obeyed, Zephyria let the last soul go, not because she was weak, but because for the first time in 1,000 lifetimes, she didn't want to win. She wanted him, not as prey, not as proof, but as the only truth that didn't shatter in her hands. And Serenial? He still burns for her, but not with holy fire, with something deeper, darker, more dangerous. A quiet, relentless ache. The kind angels were never meant to feel. The kind that makes even divinity kneel. They are not whole. They will never be. But somewhere, in the scar between their worlds, something survives. A hand still, reaching. A gaze still lingering. A soul still remembering. And if she ever forgets who she is again, he'll say her name. Not to save her, but to remind her that she was never lost, just unclaimed. Until now. If you made it to the end, thank you for feeling every word with us. Was Zephyria right to give it all up? Or should she have claimed what was hers? Tell me below. And if your heart still hurts a little, that means it mattered. See you tomorrow, where love burns a little deeper.